What's going on, guys, in the works? And today we're going to be taking a look at another China Rising DLC weapon that DICE accidentally gave us early, and that is the L85. If you're not familiar with what the heck I'm talking about, in the last patch, DICE accidentally introduced the weapons into the PC version, where you could actually complete some assignments and unlock some of the China Rising DLC weapons like the MTAR, the L96, and the L85, as well as some cool little gadgets. I've already done a video on the MTAR. If you missed that, be sure to check it out at the end of the video. But today we're going to be talking about the assault rifle, because the MTAR is a carbine, which means it can go on any class, whereas this is strictly for the assault class. How does this compare to its Battlefield 3 counterpart? Well, I think you L85 fans are going to be in for a treat, because it has a very similar recoil pattern to the Battlefield 3 variant, but has a faster rate of fire at 700 rounds per minute. Now, this is not finalized, this is not confirmed. DICE could change it along the way, but as it stands right now, this is a very, very solid weapon. I know there have been some people out there that say, well, it's not really that great, but I think at 700 rounds per minute with a very manageable recoil, I think a lot of people will actually be using this weapon. I mean, look at that right there with iron sights, how quickly you can kill with this just because it's really easy to stay on target. Now, you're probably asking, how on earth do you actually unlock this? Well, this one I found to be a little bit trickier, because you do have to get one defib kill, one pistol kill, and then one grenade launcher kill. It says in the description that you need a 40mm grenade kill, and a lot of people were confused by that, but that means the grenade launchers, guys. You can use the LVG, you can use the HE, which is the, a high explosive one. It's really up to you. I just use the high explosive, but throughout this clip you will see me using the LVG just for the sake of making this video, just so you guys get an idea of kind of how it works. But like I said, it's a pretty difficult one to unlock just because you have to get that all in one round, and you may spend the majority of the round trying to get your defib kills. I found the easiest thing to do is just camp. I know it's not a great thing to do if you don't like camping, but if you just wait in a corner for someone to run by, typically you can run up behind them and defib them. You do have to charge your defibs all the way though, so you got to sit there rubbing them together, like you're waiting for someone. You got the master plan going, just sitting there rubbing your defibs together, and then eventually when they run by, you just shock the living daylights out of them. That's how I did it. Didn't really take that long once I figured out a good plan, and I got my L85. But it's definitely worth it if you're a fan of this weapon. It behaves very, very similar to its Battlefield 3 counterpart by having a very soft recoil. But I have seen some people out there on the Battlelog forums and just YouTube in general who don't really seem to like the L85. They don't think it's really that great. But being a bullpup weapon, I think it handles really nicely. It's kind of a direct counter to the AUG. If you don't like the recoil pattern on the AUG, you'll probably like the recoil pattern on the L85, and typically the bullpup weapons do get the hipfire bonuses, which I'm sure this is no exception, but since there's no really hard stats out there, I can't really go into in-depth stats on that, just because they don't exist right now. I mean, we could go into the game files and probably rip them out and figure it out, but it's easier to wait and see how DICE decides to approach these weapons, because we did get them early. I don't know if any of this stuff is actually going to be finalized, considering that these weren't supposed to come out till December 12th, so we'll see how DICE actually ends up handling that situation, because they're going to get an opportunity to nerf and buff a lot of these weapons, because the MTAR is a really, really good carbine, especially considering you can put it on any class. I think that's probably the most interesting weapon out of this little bunch of weapons we've gotten so far. So if you haven't got a chance to unlock the L85, I would suggest you do it right away. Get a chance to play with it. Decide whether or not it really suits your playstyle. Because like I said, you either love low fire rate weapons or you hate them. I mean, if you don't like the AUG because it has a low rate of fire, you're probably not going to like the L85, because it does feel kind of similar in that respect. But it works really good on long lines of sight like this map. I think it worked really well on, and I have had some moderate success with it on Operation Locker, which, Locker is just a giant cluster of people anyways, so you can't really judge a weapon too heavily on that map, because you can get kills with just about anything. But definitely worth unlocking if you want to fool around with it. That being said, I think that it will probably be an underused weapon at some point in time. Just like the L85 was in Battlefield 3, I think a lot of people will probably overlook this one, just like, it was in Karkan. People just didn't like using the L85, which kind of surprised me, because it was almost like a better version of the AK-74M, which I actually started to see quite a bit towards the end of Battlefield 3. I think people started to appreciate some of the slow fire rate, long-range master weapons, which they tended to overlook when the game first came out, because they were all worried about blazing fire rates and whatnot. But this was a quick little rush round. We do end up winning. I think I went 17-1 in this particular game, which is actually pretty fantastic, considering that rush is really difficult these days, at least in the servers I've been in. It's hard to find a good rush server, and that's my favorite game mode, so I was actually pretty happy with this game as a whole. But one last thing to talk about before I go, I will actually be playing in the Simtic versus YouTube event that will be live streamed tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm actually in a squad with Jack Frags, Snoov, Fake Thriller, and Epona, and we plan on poning people. At least that's the plan. Hopefully that plan doesn't go sour, because I'm sure the Simtic guys are very, very good players. I've watched some of the streams where a lot of those guys have been playing, and they've got their stuff together, so hopefully it's a pretty fun time. At the end of the day, though, it's just for fun, so if you've got some time tomorrow afternoon, just come by, watch it. It'll be a very entertaining stream because Dasgro's casting it, and he's always really good at casting. I know Scanner will be there too for some stuff, doing some spectator mode stuff. So come by and check it out if you've got some time, and hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.